Hey guys, it's your humble host, or Kid if you prefer. So I'm back with an update on the Save Miles case. I'm here with Brenton Netz. We're going to do a follow-up video as there's a hearing on June 15th now. So we're going to discuss that and what that entails. Hey Brenton.
Hi, how you doing?
Been doing all right. How about yourself? So there's now a hearing in the works for the 15th?
Yeah, so it got stalled for quite a while over the spring because of the COVID stuff, but now we have a hearing on June 15th. It's going to be over Zoom.
So yeah, I know. Was it the last hearing that Jeffrey Younger had from Save James? They had their Zoom meeting too, and it lasted for like an hour. It wasn't bad. Zoom's not a bad program. What exactly is this hearing involved? Like, why is this hearing happening?
Well, that's a good question. So I have an attorney now, thanks to all the folks that donated this winter during the campaign. His name is Robert Roby, just to remind everybody if they didn't watch, haven't heard of this yet. And we filed, before the COVID stuff hit, we were trying to get back into court to reinstitute visitation for myself and Miles. Also to get Centricare to start honoring my joint legal custody, or just my parental rights in general. But once the COVID thing happened, it just put everything on hold, which is understandable, put the whole thing on hold. And during that time, Centricare actually took a further step and blocked me from Miles's online medical charts, so I couldn't even see what's going on there, like seeing Troy Rubber Brown, for example, which was kind of the last straw. So my attorney, Robert Roby, finally, I shouldn't say finally, not for him, but just I was finally in a position to let them know in a legal way that they're going to have some ramifications if they keep violating my parental rights. And as far as I can tell, that kind of put the scare enough into them that they told Sarah that they will not treat Miles or not let him go to the sexual and gender clinic until this is resolved. And so Sarah and an attorney have made a counter move to try to get my parental rights revoked, or another way to put it would be for her to get sole legal custody of Miles.
So let me do a refresh for the audience here. For those of you who have kind of fallen off the Save Miles case, because it has been a little bit of a time since the update, Miles is an autistic child. That doesn't mean he's stupid or anything like that, but he processes things differently. There was a video of him. Oh, I'm echoing there, Brenton. There was a video of him just singing a really messed up song. Hold on, I'm gonna turn you down just a bit. Singing a really messed up song, and he had access to his mother's YouTube channel. That video is now removed. We went over the documentation from Centricare. Miles has an attachment to Disney princesses, but it was never really delved into which Disney princesses, if you guys remember, because a lot of them, we had Ariel, we had Belle, we had Mulan. She's not really Disney princess, but she's kind of considered. You guys kind of get the point, Princess Tiana, because there's a lot of Disney princesses who have a attachment to their father. So that was never dived into. Troy Rubber's now convinced Miles of the name Miley and is supposedly claiming that Miles said that he was a lesbian. It's really messed up. I do have a playlist if you guys want to go through that again. And also there's a Google Drive with all the videos, the docs that I've gotten so far and the ones that have been given to me. So go through that if you guys need a refresher. But yeah, it's a really messed up case. This kid is being preyed upon and kind of being messed with by his mom and she doesn't want to take the time to deal with it. And it's gotten to a point where it's been documented that Miles will lash out because his issues aren't being dealt with properly, and they're being glossed over and given the label of gender dysphoria, which is far from the case. But yeah, you guys get the autistic child is being messed with mentally. It's that bad. Go ahead, Brenton.
Yeah. So when this COVID stuff was just going on, and there wasn't any sort of progress being made, my attorney and I talked about it and decided that, bare minimum, I guess, I would call this a win at this point, though I, by no means would be satisfied with this result. But if I could just get Miles's mother to agree to not administer or allow to any sort of hormonal or physical therapies, or however you want to describe it, chemical castration is just my general term for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if she could guarantee me that until age 18, I would, I guess I'd back off a little bit because, I've obviously been so outgunned for so long here. And we ran that by her and her attorney, and they declined it, which telegraphs to me that they are hell-bent on getting Miles on some kind of hormonal therapies or puberty blockers, or what, I guess we'd say puberty blockers at this point. Miles is 11 now. So, and that's just not going to happen. I'm not going to allow that to happen. If she can't give me that just one guarantee, then I guess we're just going to have to keep dragging this out through court,
Well, here's the thing. I take it a step further. Because of his autism, he is being brainwashed. And we've gone over the documents before, the ones that you showed me, and I believe it was our last video. We really went into depth where I could actually relate to Miles because growing up, I was greatly misunderstood, and thank God my parents were not stupid. Because I had an attachment a very strange attachment to the games The Legend of Zelda. He has the same attachment to the Disney princesses, and that has not delved into. So whether or not you get her to back off, say no chemical castration, no puberty blockers, that still won't prevent her from Miles being completely brainwashed. I'd even push it to the point to where back off from the gender stuff completely and just focus on having Miles develop coping skills with his autism and why he's lashing out physically at Sarah. That needs to be dealt with. And like I said, this gender dysphoria stuff is just the Band-Aid. As we're seeing more and more of a movement of detransitioners, more women and I believe a little bit of men coming out saying, hey, my deeper issues are not dealt with. It was just being termed as gender dysphoria. I was told that this was going to happen, but in the end, I ended up regretting this. So we're seeing that movement on the rise. I mean, I wouldn't stop at just, hey, no chemical castration or synthetic hormones. I'd go full force going, you're not doing this to my kid. You're not dealing with his issues properly.
Right. Yeah, it's more of a, there's what I want, and then there's what I can accomplish in this highly biased, stacked agenda going on. But which I agree with everything you just said. Miles, first, I just want to say I forgot to say this at the beginning. Anybody that listens to this video, I just want to thank you for continuing to care about my case. I think my son's case represents something that's bigger than just him.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of autistic children are being sucked into this trans child phenomenon.
Disabled, yeah. Any child that's considered mentally challenged, because you have doubt. They're praying. Like, I'll give an example. There's been a couple, like with the drag story, drag queen culture. They've managed to prey upon kids with Down syndrome. They're sucking any child with a mental disability or is considered disabled into this trans cult nonsense.
That's right. Yeah, and my son's wide open for it. He does have a lot of real problems. I think I've mentioned that before.
Yes.
And one of them is he's very obsessive compulsive.
Yes. We discussed that last video. Right.
Yeah. If he was, If it would have been just him and I, for example, he might very well be obsessed with fishing or swimming or, walking in the woods or something like that.
Yes.
Because that's what he would have been introduced to and would have just off to the races because of his personality. But unfortunately, his mother has some kind of strange agenda to get him, to turn him into a girl. I guess for just, lack of a better term. And so she has him encapsulated and isolated into this little world in which he can't get out of. And I've just been out here as a voice in the wilderness trying to break into this isolated situation he's in. And I guess on the 15th, this is, I'm trying not to say too much. I don't,
right.
want to jeopardize anything, and I don't think I have anything I've said. I mean, all this is wide open. And at the end of the day, I just want the truth to be known, and no one should fear the truth. And so that's what we're doing, is we're here just telling the truth about the situation. My son is 11 years old. He is autistic. He's been diagnosed with autism since he was 4. He has OCD, bare minimum. They have him drugged. They continue to up his drugs. He has attention deficit disorder, which, is another whole other topic. And Sarah has been fast-tracking him to get on hormones. Troy River Brown has been pushing that. I've seen it all in his charts for years.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to stop it. I've been telling CentraCare they do not have my consent, they do not have my approval, and I have joint legal custody, which by Minnesota state law says that they need to get my permission and my approval to do it. They continue to do it anyway, so I mean, they're just blatantly violating the law. But I think at this point, they've backed off because I finally got legal representation. So on the 15th, what's going to happen, as far as I know, is we're going to stand our ground. I have no interest in relinquishing my parental rights. In fact, I want them to be reinstated in full. I think, if anything, Sarah has been violating my rights for 3 years now. I call once a week. She blocks my number. She doesn't allow me to talk to Miles. They're probably going to make the case that I haven't had any contact with him, but it's kind of this reversal of cause and effect situation where she has made that the case, and they're going to try to make it the case. I mean, it's just a 180 reversal of cause and effect. I don't know how else to put it. And so it's going to come down to whether the court believes her or believes me. And I would like to think there's still some vestiges of decency and justice in this court system that would not take away a parent's rights, like someone that wants to be a part of their child's life, especially with such dire circumstances as we're talking about. So I'm somewhat hopeful about the 15th, but I also am very cynical about this institution because there's a lot of bias and there's a lot of craziness going on, and I just can't believe that everybody. I'll put it a different way. I just can't believe that anybody can buy into this whole trans child thing to begin with. And I've seen a little bit of evidence within the court system that I don't know, that they're affirming and supportive of it. So, hopefully we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and something else too, from my audience, for those of you who don't remember when we went over the documents, don't forget that Miles has been through various rounds of antipsychotics. Those are heavy-duty drugs, and they want to toss in puberty blockers. So let's back up a little bit, because what puberty blockers do is they stop the production of natural hormones. Now, this has been studied to show that this actually puts a mental stunt on the person that's taking puberty blockers, or rather the child, because as the body develops and the child gets older, hormones also helps the brain development, because as the brain gets older, it learns to give signals how to produce certain hormones, what amount, things like that. So when you introduce puberty blockers, it stunts the brain and it completely disrupts those signals and those communications between brain and the rest of the body. And also, like I said, top that with antipsychotic drugs. there's a reason why this kid is lashing out physically. He's being given heavy-duty drugs that aren't necessarily coping with his body. And for anyone, and I'm not a medical professional, nothing like that, but for anybody who reads up on these antipsychotics, antidepressants, do keep in mind that there's a caution when it comes to these drugs that it takes 1 full year for the body to get used to it and then 1 full year to come off of it. And the reason why is that first year on it is that drug is training the brain, hey, you don't need to make this chemical anymore. I'm here as a substitute. And then when the people come off of it, if they're taken off of it, they have to be slowly weaned off because then the brain has to naturally learn again to make certain chemicals and learn that that substitute is going away. This is something serious, and it's a hot mess. I don't understand it either. And as I talked about on my channel, as we've seen the rise of it, there's more and more people coming out trying to push this agenda. It's disgusting. It really is. I will never ever defend this crap ever.
Yeah, it's an absolute nightmare. I imagine that anyone listening to this might already know a lot of this, but just in case, I'll just briefly go over the puberty blocker aspect as well. Is that that's pretty much my biggest fear at this point, especially because of Miles' age. He's, a year or two away from starting puberty. And the agenda, the pharmacological agenda behind this has claimed that puberty blockers, such as Lupron, for example, but there are others, are reversible. And that's a really important point to understand. They're not reversible. They never are. I call it shoving your foot in the door, and then the door never closes again. But the Endocrine Society has come out and said they're reversible. Of course, the pharmaceutical industry says they are because they're the gateway into basically medicalizing a person for the rest of their lives. And when you get them as a child, you destroy their bodies, and then they're going to be a client and a patient for the rest of their lives. So there's an obvious financial agenda there, and probably other insidious ones as well. And so it's a nightmare to think that my son is going to be pulled into this, especially with all the problems he has, especially with his OCD, especially with his autism. I know for a fact this is not him, and he does not have gender dysphoria. He's trying to satisfy his mother. He has attachment issues. He has abandonment issues. He's terrified of being rejected and abandoned by his mother, and his mother has basically conveyed to him that if you don't do what I want, then you're going to be abandoned. She's already done it. She's already put him into day treatments, group homes for days at a time, and weeks at a time, as far as I know, as far as I can tell with the documents I've gotten. So I think she's a runner-up for the worst parent of all time, but that's just my opinion. Not really care what people think about that, but it's true. All you got to do is just look at it. I think she has some kind of Munchausen by proxy. I think actually she's the one that needs massive therapy and she needs to be institutionalized or something, but that's just me. So yeah, my goal is just to come in here and continue to, quickly, I'll just wrap this up here, is that if they revoke my joint legal custody, then that's going to greenlight all of these players to put Miles on the fast track for hormones, because I do think that at the end of the day, even though the medical system doesn't really honor this like they should, I think they know there might be some liability involved, because I've discussed it with my attorney that if they go ahead and just do this without my consent and approval, they might have lawsuits on their hands, and I've notified them that as well. So I think what they're trying to do is just legally remove me from the system.
Okay. Something, and actually I have an article for you to give to your lawyer, because this has come out in UK. They have a special group over there, because UK is also known for pushing this crap too. Their organization there is NHS. This is by spectator.co.uk. They have come out and they have said, because I'm going to read this. Let's see, where is it? Because they even talk about birth control and things like that. Here's what you read on the topic. If your child has gender dysphoria, they've reached puberty, they could be treated with sorry if I mispronounced this, dotropine, releasing hormone, GN, GnRH analogs. These are synthetic man-made hormones that suppress the hormone naturally produced by the body. The effects, because I'm going to skip down a little bit, the effects of treatment with GnRH analogs are considered to be fully reversible, so treatment can usually be stopped at any time. Now, this is not true. So here's what's listed. Hormone therapy in children and people. I'm trying to find, okay. Yeah, so this is what they've come out. Little is known about the long-term effects of hormone or puberty blockers in children with gender dysphoria, although the Gender Identity Development Service advises this is a physically reversible treatment. If stopped, it is not known what these psychological effects may be. Exactly, because it also stunts the brain. These hormones can cause reversible changes such as breast development caused by taking estrogen, breaking or deepening of the voice caused by taking testosterone. Long-term cross-sex hormone treatment may cause temporary or even permanent infertility. However, as cross-sex hormones affect people differently, they should not be considered a reliable form of contraception. Now, let me touch upon this too, because I've talked about this on my channel as well. Anybody who's read into the basics of birth control, because that is synthetic hormones, whether that's progesterone, estrogen, whether you Depo, Depo-Provera, or Ethro, which is that patch, you guys will find that it can cause weight gain, weight loss, depending on the hormone balance of the person. I've talked about this. You now have a big organization in the UK going, oh, wait a minute, let's rethink this. There are effects that are not reversible, because let me also state this too, going back to birth control. It's not always an effective contraceptive because it has different effects on the body depending on the hormone balance. For example, with Depo-Provera, which is synthetic progesterone, they tell you do not stay on the shot for more than 2 years because it can jumpstart menopause. I released an article, or came across an article a few months back, how a 15-year-old girl who was trying to be a boy because she had been on these freaking hormones, testosterone, for so long, it jump-started her body to menopause. Menopause is what happens to women 50 to 60 years old when their fertility is freaking gone and they become sterile. This is what drugs do, and they also have the effect on males as well. So the fact that you have big organizations coming out and going, hey, you know what, there's actually effects here that are not reversible. And Brenton, you need to give, I'll send this article to either over Facebook. You need to give this article to your lawyer, because this is now being backed. Huh?
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, that you now have big organizations in the UK saying, hey, you know, we need to take a look at this. And this was passed quietly, because if they went all public about it, it would have been a hullabaloo. For those of you who are unaware, in the UK, you have the Mermaid organization, which is trans kids, and they use mermaid as a transforming. Ugh, I hate how they twisted the symbolism of mermaids. Anyway, though, but yeah, this is just an example, and I'm so glad I remember this article during this video, because like, hey, let me show you this. This is what's happening. So we're starting to see slowly a paradigm shift. This needs to stop. Go ahead, Brenton. Sorry. It's like, oh, let me show this.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you said it like that. And I would just, I tend to keep it pretty simple for myself, and I just know that it's impossible for a female to turn into a male, or a male to turn into a female. It's impossible. Everybody knows it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a biological reality. Every cell in our body is coded either male or female, depending on who we are. So this whole idea that people can do that to themselves, I guess when you become an adult, you're pretty much allowed to do whatever you want to yourself, and, you know, good luck to you. But doing this to children is evil. And everybody should know that. And so the people that don't know that, they're the ones that have the problem. And unfortunately, I found myself in a situation, I don't know how this ever happened to me. I guess I, you know, can kind of trace back and just attribute to a lot of bad choices. But somehow I find myself on this side of the divide, and my son, that I cherish more than anything in this world, is on the other side, being held hostage by his mother with this idea that he can turn into a girl. And so, I mean, it's a frustrating situation. I've run out of words. I mean, I've run out of ways to try to talk about it. I took a break this spring partially because we had a case building up until the COVID stuff derailed everything, and I was asked not to, say anything more that might be used against us in court. But
right.
But now but now it's back on, and so depending on what happens on the 15th, I'm a little concerned that because there's a long history, like with Jeffrey Younger's case and some other cases, Robert Hoagland in Canada, that when people are starting to get effective in informing the public on what's happening to our children, they tend to get gagged, and so I'm just hoping that they don't plan on gagging me because.
Well, here's the thing. Let me tell you about that. So with Jeffrey Younger's case, because he was gagged, and here's what I do. They could not shut me up. Let me tell you why. Because I am not a journalist. I am not the media. I do not claim to be. I don't make money off of it. And so for all legal purposes, because I kept saying this, and throughout my coverage of the Save James case, I am not the media. I'm not news. I'm not anybody. I am just a wife who is a hobbyist YouTuber. That's it. So if they do gag you, they cannot stop you from talking to me, because that gag order, even though as unconstitutional as it is, I am not media. You can consider me a friend, acquaintance, whatever, but I am not media, so they cannot stop you from talking with me or sharing documentation with me. They legally cannot do that.
Yeah. And as we know, even Jeffrey has found ways to continue to get the message out, and not as effective as if he wasn't gagged. But gag orders are unconstitutional, and I still believe in the Constitution. So we'll just see how this goes. I hope it doesn't get brought up. But yeah, there's a lot riding on what's going to happen on the 15th. I'm trying not to be too worried. I'm prepping with a couple of folks that have been helping me the whole time here. A couple of gifts from Jeffrey. Folks that helped him on the Save James campaign. I'm very thankful for. And I've never done Zoom before, so we'll see how this goes. But I'll be there, and I would like to come and after the hearing and tell you all about it and maybe see what you think of it.
Yeah, and if you can get a link, because I do know with the Save James, there was a public link that people can go in and view it. So if you can get a hold of public link, I'll share it, because it would be interesting to catch. Let me see. I don't know. The 15th, like I said, that is a Monday. Depending if you're able to get a public link or not, I'll pass that around. But yeah, no, this is just crazy, and I can't believe we're doing this all over again. And like I said, the reason why Jeff is able to still tell a story, because other people stepped in that were not news, that were not media. There's a reason, and I'm not bragging, I'm not being arrogant, but there's a reason why at the hearing of Save James, they tried to toss me in jail twice. The first time was a screw up on my part, innocent mistake, to which I took care of. And then the second time was they tried to accuse me for the same thing, which I took care of, which I did not know. When it comes to a court of law, when the jury selection, you're not supposed to take pictures of the jurors. Did not know that, but I got rid of them or whatnot. And then they came out as soon as Rebecca Orr, because I talked about this multiple times, as soon as Rebecca Orr took the stand, I was pulled aside by the bailiff and threatened with jail again. I'm like, you want to see my Twitter feed? Because I deleted everything. And this was after I posted pictures of Abel Tomatis, Jessica Jancic, Laura Hayes, and Georgia Liz. So I was taking pictures as much as I could and dumping them all over Twitter. I also took very thorough notes. And then on top of it, I took natural photos and videos. They tried to have me in jail because of how effective. Again, I'm a third party nobody, okay? No one important. But my coverage was effective, and my videos and photos showed the exact same thing that Jeff, the Scotts, Gwen, anybody who's personal friends with the boys and that family were saying throughout this entire freaking thing. That is why I got thrown in jail, because of my coverage, or almost thrown in jail. So
yeah, well, they know. I mean, we've all seen this, that when people really understand the topic, most people are appalled by it. And so their goal is to just censor Because that the losing side, the side that's not on truth, the only weapon they have is to censor. And so that's what gag orders represent to me, is that they're worried that the public will understand the topic, and then they'll be appalled, and then there won't be support for it, and they can't get away with it. So, that's all that does.
So, and that's why, like I said, with the Save James one, as you saw, Jeff is gagged. Oh, hey, look, we're loud. You can't shut us up because we're all third-party nobodies that collectively we can shout, no, this is wrong. And there's a few of us who know how to do social media as well. So we were effective with what we did because we came together. It's like, no, I know how to do this. This person knows how to do that. No, we're not going to go silent. Have fun shutting all of us up. So that's not arrogant. That is, I've seen enough custody case,
That's just the truth. It's just facts.
Oh yeah, I've seen enough custody cases to where it's gag, financially cripple. If you can't update people, then you're not going to get money. So it's just like, I've seen this before. Good luck, have fun.
Yeah, I should also mention that Jeffrey Younger's attorney has offered to talk to my attorney, before the hearing, to kind of trade notes and get some ideas, and so hopefully that's going to happen. I have a phone meeting with my attorney tomorrow, and we're going to be going over all of that.
Yeah, get that done, because I will say with Logan O'Donnell, he's very soft-spoken, but the way that man performed in the courtroom, it was actually amazing, because he was able to not only, and I love this, back all of Anne Georgia's expert witnesses into a corner, but he was also able to pull certain things out of them. Like, for example, what was it? In regards to Rebecca Orr, she's talking about gender identities, which, by the way, that woman has no idea the ramifications of puberty blockers, yet she'll give people a recommendation letter without any counseling. She's a freaking quack. Anyway, he got her to get all ruffled and bothered because he asked her, well, did you ever want to be a guy? And I forgot the way he worded it. It's very eloquently, very well done, and it got her upset, saying, no, I never wanted to be a guy. And he was able to back every single one of these quacks into a corner. I'm like, I love this guy. So I very much, that was my first time sitting in on a hearing. I was very impressed with him. So he would.
Well, no, I hope they do make the connection. I have the feeling that, maybe I should cover that. I was going to give some ideas of how I think Sarah and her attorney are going to approach this, but maybe I'll just wait and see. But
yeah,
I do know that, at least on our side, we're just going to stick to the facts, because the facts are what counts, and the facts is where that's where the truth stands. And so, and they can try to make a 3-ring circus or make it look like a clown show all they want, but we're just going to stick to the facts here. We have an 11-year-old autistic boy who's getting railroaded. His father loves him, has never stopped loving him, Sarah has enacted parental alienation, and we're just trying to get this back on track, and that's really all it needs to be about. So that's what we're sticking to.
Nope, most definitely. I wish you the best of luck, and like I said, I don't want children because of this, and I even wrote it in that Save James article, the one that I released on WordPress or whatnot, that if me and my husband had kids, and we're both in agreement with this, which I freaking love, we would not be as nice as Jeffrey Younger. People would disappear, and I've said this multiple times, and I will not back down from that. My dad had a saying to where he always told us, because he was very protective of his children, where he went, I will go to jail for my kids. Me and my husband will take that a step further. You'll disappear. You'll find yourself in a dirt nap. I don't like it when people screw with kids.
That's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you stick your hand down a badger hole of a mother that just had babies, and what do you think is going to happen to your hand?
Yeah.
So this whole system just coming and this slow motion dismantling our children, it's amazing that someone hasn't taken it into their own hands yet. It's amazing.
Yeah, they have these parents scared enough, and there was another case, and I forgot what the guy's name was, where he drove a mom who was getting away from her lesbian ex-lover because her ex-lover was trying to turn her daughter into a boy, and this guy drove this mom, got her out of the country. He's now in federal prison. I forgot what his name is. Alan had mentioned him to me. Oh, and that's something too, and I hate to mention it on video. Just to update everybody, if you have not seen the Facebook post yet for Save James, one of our admins, Alan Eccles, actually passed away. I want to say last Thursday or the Thursday before, so don't know the circumstances, but yeah, we lost one of our admins, and good guy Alan was. But yeah, I'm not sure if you were aware of that. Because he was poking his nose into your case too, and another one, and that he actually brought to my attention the guy who drove the mom clean out of the country in order to protect her child, her daughter. So.
Yeah, I did hear about your admin dying, and that's sad. I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so, but he had his fingers in a lot of different stuff, and he actually alerted me to the Chris Clay stuff and that other thing, and I think someone tagged me with your case, and I think he started to look into it too, so he kept up with a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, because we're nearing 40 minutes here, is there anything else that the audience needs to know? I'll put the donation links as usual in the description. But is there anything else you wanted to cover before we wrapped it up, or?
Well, no, I think we covered just about everything that I can talk about, and anything that I know at this point. The big wild card for everybody, and also for my case, has been this COVID stuff shutting down the courts and kind of shutting down society. But I'm hoping that it's going to get back on track, and the Zoom process is going to be effective, and then after the 15th, if you'll have me, I'd like to come back and tell you guys all about it.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely cover the stuff, the hearing, if you're available, because I know you said the case was Monday morning, and depending whether or not they give a ruling right then and there, which I don't think will be the case, we'll just have to see. If you do get the ruling that day, we'll try to schedule something for that night. If not, we'll have to go from there, depending on when the ruling's given.
Right. Yeah, we'll just wait till we actually know something, then we can share that. And I will try to get a public link as well. I'll ask my attorney tomorrow about that.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely touch base with you later, and I really hope he gets hold of Logan O'Donnell, because I really feel like that's going to be beneficial.
Yeah, that's going to happen. If there's anybody that would know this very strange territory, then he would know it well. So they're going to talk.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on and giving us an update, and you have yourself a good night.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for continuing to care, and I will talk to you soon.
Right. Talk to you later, Brenton.
Okay, good night.
Night. Okay, so that is the update in a nutshell. So we'll keep you guys updated about the hearing. A public link, if I get a hold of one, I will pass it out there. It's crazy. We saw this with Save James, and we're seeing this with Save Miles, so best of luck to Brenton. I will update you guys, and we'll be back with an update after the hearing. If anything happens in between, I'll let you guys know. Have a good one.